Deep Work by Cal Newport, the skill that'll make you untouchable. Cal Newport wrote a book in 2016 that quietly predicted the future of work. He argued that the ability to focus without distraction was becoming the most valuable skill in the modern economy, and that almost nobody was developing it. 10 years later, in a world flooded by notifications, social media, and endless meetings, the people who can sit alone with a hard problem for hours have become rare and well paid. That is the central claim of deep work, and you are about to see exactly why it landed so hard. If you have ever ended a workday exhausted, but unable to remember what you actually accomplished, this book is going to speak directly to your situation. Newport calls that pattern shallow work. Shallow work is everything you do that does not require deep concentration. Email, quick meetings, replying to messages, updating spreadsheets. None of it is useless. All of it is replaceable. Anyone with basic skills can do shallow work, which is exactly why it does not produce wealth or expertise. Here's the contrast Newport draws. Deep work is what happens when you give a single hard problem your full attention, with no distractions for an extended period. It is how books get written. It is how complex code gets built. It is how breakthroughs happen in research. It is also how new skills get learned at speed. Most knowledge work in theory requires deep work to produce real value. In practice, most knowledge workers spend their days in a fog of shallow activity that produces nothing they can point to. You should know why this matters in 2026. The economy has shifted in a way that rewards two kinds of people: those who can work with smart machines and those who are exceptional in their field. Both groups depend on the ability to learn quickly and produce hard, valuable work. Both require deep focus. Newport's argument is that the people who develop this capacity will thrive. Everyone else will be slowly replaced or pushed to the edges of the economy, and the gap between the two groups is already widening. Stay with this, because Newport makes a strong case that deep work is not a personality trait. It is a skill. Anyone can build it. Most people fail at it not because they lack talent, but because their environment is designed to prevent it. Open offices, constant notifications, the expectation of instant replies. Each of these is the enemy of focus, and most workers have been swimming in them for so long that they no longer recognize the cost. Now think about your own day. How often do you actually spend 90 minutes on a single task with no interruption? For most people, the honest answer is rarely or never. The mind has been trained to expect a small reward every few minutes. A new message, a new email, a new post. That training makes deep work feel uncomfortable, even painful at first. The good news is that the discomfort fades with practice. The skill rebuilds itself within weeks if you are willing to sit with the initial difficulty. Here is the rule Newport keeps returning to. To produce deep work, you have to build rituals that protect your focus. He outlines a few approaches. The monastic approach, where you cut yourself off from distractions completely. The bimodal approach, where you alternate between focus stretches and normal social life. The rhythmic approach, where you schedule deep work at the same time every day. The journalistic approach, where you grab whatever focus time you can between other commitments. Each suits a different lifestyle, and you have to pick the one that fits your actual life. You should also know about Newport's idea on social media. He does not tell you to delete it. He tells you to evaluate it the same way you would evaluate any other tool. Ask whether the benefit you get from a specific app outweighs the cost to your attention. Most people never run this calculation. They assume that because something is free, it has no cost. Newport argues that attention is the real currency, and that most apps are spending yours far faster than you realize. Stay with this part, because Newport makes a fascinating point about boredom. He argues that the constant escape from boredom, made possible by smartphones, is one of the main reasons people have lost the ability to focus. Every spare moment now gets filled with content. Waiting in line, sitting in a car, lying in bed. The brain never has time to be bored, and the absence of boredom prevents the deep concentration that hard work requires. He suggests embracing boredom as training for the kind of attention that produces real results. Now picture what this might look like in your routine. Imagine spending a few minutes in line at the coffee shop without checking your phone. Imagine waiting at a red light without looking at messages. Imagine sitting at your desk for 30 minutes before opening any app. Each of these small choices rebuilds the muscle that constant stimulation has weakened. Over months, the effect compounds, and your capacity for sustained focus returns. Here is something else worth knowing. Newport writes about what he calls the productive meditation technique. The idea is to take a single problem you are working on and think about it during physical activity that does not require focus. Walking, showering, driving, doing chores. Each of these is a chance to make progress on a hard problem if you can keep your mind on it. Most people fill these moments with podcasts and content. Newport suggests reclaiming them for thinking. You should also pay attention to how Newport defines high-quality work. He gives a simple formula. The quality of your work equals the time spent multiplied by the intensity of your focus. Same task, less focus, worse result. Same task, more focus, better result. The implication is harsh. Anyone who works for 8 hours with constant interruptions is probably producing less than someone who works for 2 hours with full focus. And Newport has the research to back up the claim. Stay with this part, because there is a chapter in the book that quietly changes careers. Newport writes about the concept of deliberate practice. To get better at any difficult skill, you cannot just repeat what you already know. You have to push into the edges of your ability, fail, and adjust. This is hard, uncomfortable work, and it requires deep focus to do well. People who develop the deep work habit can deliberate practice their way into mastery in years rather than decades. And that compounding effect is what produces the kind of expertise that becomes unreplaceable. Now consider what untouchable means in this context. Newport is not promising that you will be rich. He is promising that if you build deep work into your life consistently, you will produce work that few others can match. That work earns trust, opportunity, and freedom. It also produces a kind of satisfaction that scrolling cannot replicate. The people who finish hard projects describe the feeling as a quiet pride that lasts long after the work is done. Here's the closing idea on this book. Deep work is not a productivity hack. It is a redefinition of what work even is. Most jobs reward busyness. A few reward depth. Newport wants you to move toward the second category, even if it means restructuring your day, your habits, and the expectations of the people around you. The cost is real. The reward is the kind of career that nobody can take from you. You should also know about one habit Newport recommends that costs nothing and changes everything. He calls it the shutdown ritual. At the end of every workday, you spend a few minutes reviewing what you did, noting what you will pick up tomorrow, and consciously closing the workday. This simple practice prevents work from bleeding into your evening and protects your rest. Most people drift between work mode and home mode without ever fully ending either, and that bleed is one of the biggest hidden causes of modern burnout. If you only take one thing from this summary, take this. Pick one task that matters. Block out 90 minutes. Turn off every notification. Sit with it until you cannot continue. Do that 3 times a week for a month. The difference between the version of you who does this and the version who does not is the difference between the people Newport wrote his book about.